I'm here in Bray, Ireland at Cornerstone Church, which is historically known as St. Paul's. Now, St. Paul's was built in 1609. And what's really interesting about it, it was built as the most likely first Protestant church to be built as a Protestant church in Ireland. Remember, during the English Reformation under Henry VIII, they took all the land of all the Catholic churches and converted them to Anglican churches. But this was the first one they believed that was built primarily as an Anglican church, 1609. Another interesting fact about this church is in 1792, Hosea Guinness is the pastor here. Now, Hosea Guinness is the son of the famous author Guinness, the Guinness Brewery, and the beer and the Guinness Book of World Records. All kinds of stuff has come out of the Guinness family. But there was a great Christian lineage and testimony that flowed in the family. Great social activists, great preachers, a real strong Christianity. It's a great book called God and Guinness. You should get that and read it. It really goes through their impact on the Irish society and their giving to world missions. Phenomenal. But really what I'm going to talk about today is another preacher that was here, that was here briefly, named Edward Irving. Edward Irving is going to be here in 1830 on a Tuesday night, and he's going to be preaching here, but he has just experienced something, or he hears about something, maybe that's that's going to really impact the world greatly. He's here for the Powers Court Prophecy Conference, which John Nelson Darby is one of the instigators of this prophecy conference, the father of dispensationalism. And it's those conferences are going to really give birth the early stages of dispensationalism, which is going to become the theology of the evangelical church of the 20th century. Now, I'm not a big dispensationalist, but their impact was phenomenal. Darby was a phenomenal man, a great thinker, a great a writer, a church planner, and linguist. He translated the Bible into French, into Dutch, into German, maybe not Dutch, into German, French, English. Amazing man, very gifted. But he's developing new ideas about the church, new ideas about the model of the church, about the structure and about the theology. And Irving is at the same place, thinking about the same things. They're going to go two different paths, and yet they are together at this point with all these others discussing things. At this conference, the gifts of the Spirit will be discussed. And what's phenomenal is that Irving had begun to preach that the gifts of the Spirit and healing should be restored and will be restored before the coming of the Lord. And he's preaching that throughout England and Scotland and in his church in London. 4 months earlier, before he comes here in that August, in March, 4 or 5 months, there's an outbreak of tongues. A girl that had heard his preaching was influenced by other preachers that were preaching on the same subject. Mary Campbell experiences a healing and is filled with the Spirit, has an outbreak of the gift of tongues, breaks out of her. She's filled with the Spirit, cries out to God, tongues flow out of her. Word comes to Irving while he's in London. He sends one of his elders there to confirm it. He comes back saying, this is legit. God is on the move. And then a few months later, he's here in this pulpit, in this church, preaching this, as he's all over Dublin also. There's such an excitement. There's such a stirring. And really, it's a critical time in church history, because what comes out of that prophecy conference, it's a shift from an all-mill, post-mill belief that the kingdom of God is going to continue to be here, to one that things are going to get worse and collapse. And I hold more to the victorious view of the church, that the gospel is going to continue to spread and impact. But that's what's going to be molded in this conference. At the same time, the belief of tongues will be discussed. A church will develop, not from the prophecy conference, that one, the brethren come out of that, but through Irving, another movement starts called the Catholic Apostolic Church, which is a movement believing the restoration of the gifts. Now, what's so interesting about it, it's a very high church. The way they run their churches is high, very almost high Anglican type, very structured and beautiful buildings and those type things. Where Darby's movement will be more low church and more simplistic. So with Irving, he goes through incredible persecution, maybe you could call it, because of his beliefs. He's going to be dismissed from his own Presbyterian community. And but that church is established, and it goes on, that particular stream of it, till the turn of the century. When that point, there's an outbreak in America of the gifts of the Spirit in 1901, and then in 1906 it explodes. And now today there's millions, 300, 400 million people that embrace these beliefs and these gifts. It's spread like wildfire, carrying the gospel, carrying encouragement and hope to literally millions throughout the world. Anyway, the rest of the video here is going to talk a little bit about the church that was established here in Dublin in the 1860s as the Irvingite church there. Here we are at St. Finian's Church, right in the center of Dublin. This is where the Catholic Apostolic Church was established in Dublin, 1864, and they flourished here really until it dissolved when the last apostle died. I think it was around the turn of the century, 1900, somewhere around there, he died, and the complete movement dissolved. Then this building became an Anglican church for Irish speakers, so the church was conducted in Irish until the 1950s, when it became a Lutheran church for German immigrants living here in Dublin. So a little bit of history, fascinating.